Alright folks, this is just a shorty for today. We just recently went up to our camp and replaced the bunk beds that have been around for 50 years. And we replaced them with an option that I think would work really well for something with a small space like a camp, or even a tiny house situation, or even a camper van or something similar to that. What you're looking at here is the old beds, and these were built when the camp was built 50 years ago, and you can see they're made up of 4x4s and just kind of a handful of random materials that they had laying around, and they work really well as beds at the moment, but they're just a little bit bulky. You can see the 4x4s take up a lot of the room, and with a space this small, you really want to utilize every inch of every corner that you can. So as we disassembled these bunk beds, we started to think about what we could do to save space and just basically minimize the footprint that these bunk beds took up. You know, I actually really like the construction of these old beds in a way. They made them out of the green wood that they had when they built the camp, and it all came from the lot that this camp is built on. You could see a little bit of mortise and tenon and half-lap joints, you know, a mixture of lag bolts and 10-penny nails, and I'm sure they did this all with hand tools. There's a bit of craftsmanship involved. They just have a lot of character, which I really like. The other thing that was destined to go was these 50-year-old mattresses. Now, this looks to me like the memory foam of that day. It's just like 5-inch hard foam, which may have been good to sleep on 50 years ago, but at this point, they're pretty well shot. So we disassembled this other side of the room, another queen bed, 2 bunk beds, and as you can see, we covered up that gas lamp with some wood so we didn't, take it out on our way out of here. We tend to bowl and jam when it comes to deconstruction. And here's what it looks like when it's all empty. The floor could use a little love, but we'll save that for a later date. Alright, so it's time to start building the new beds, and I think we've come up with a pretty good option here. One of the advantages we have is this room is only 8 feet wide, and so we can attach studs to 3 walls. The benefit of that is you don't really need any kind of middle support. Everything is just supported by the outside bracing, which leaves a huge spot under the bed for storage and places to put your bins. And also, there's nothing between the bottom bunk and the top bunk anymore. So there's nothing to hit your feet on or hit your head on or any kind of support to get in your way. It's just a big open space, and it makes for a really big sleeping surface too. As you can see, we had to measure for basically every one of these cross pieces. That's just because the camp's not totally square, but you'll run into that. And you can see in the back there we have a little red level. So when we installed these, rather than have them a certain distance from the floor, we decided to just put in one brace first, make sure it was level, and then base everything off that level piece. Once the frames were all finished up, we decided to put some 1/2-inch plywood on top of that. This should be plenty strong, and when it comes to bunk beds, you kind of want to minimize how tall everything is, so even a 1/4 inch here or there adds up. We ended up going with a shorter 8-inch mattress, and obviously you've got the 1/2-inch plywood, so you give yourself just a little more headroom, and it's a little easier to move around in there. One thing I would recommend is getting plywood that's sanded on one side, so one side is smooth. This is called ACX, like Apple Cat X-ray. It's just smooth on one side, the other side's a little bit rough. It doesn't let your mattress catch on all those little fibers. Now, in order to get a queen-size bottom bunk on this side, we did have to narrow up the doorway just a little bit, about 6 inches. This is a 36-inch doorway, so dropping it down to a 30-incher was really no big deal. And as you could see when we cleaned out the bedroom, we had an 8-inch piece of paneling, so it worked out perfect. Here's those mattresses I was talking about. Now, I buy all my mattresses from Wayfair. It just seems like the best bang for your buck. And these things kick butt. They're wicked comfy, and they come all rolled up, easy to throw in the back of the truck and bring up to camp. So, super happy with this. I'll put a link to this mattress down in the description if you want to check it out. But they got tons of them.
Oh, yes, sir. How are they?
And let's be honest, if Blue approves of this mattress, it's definitely a winner. So yeah, we're all done. This is what it looks like, and it is much more spacious. I just really love the design of these bunk beds, and I think you could utilize these in, like I said, a tiny house or a camper, or just somewhere you need to save on space. Let me know what you thought about this build. I hope it was helpful, and we'll see you next time.
Give me this. Here, give me.